Welcome grade 7 students to our new chemistry session. The title of the lesson for today is Solubility, worksheet 12. At the end of this video, you will be able to infer what solubility is, define saturated and unsaturated solution. Let's remember some information about solution. What is a solution? Very good. It is a homogeneous mixture made up of a solvent and at least one solute. What is a solute? Excellent. The solute is the substance which is dissolved. What is a solvent? Very good. The solvent is the substance that dissolves the solute. Observe these three different mixtures. The first mixture is made up of salt and water. The second mixture is made up of sugar and water. The third mixture is made up of sand and water. Now, is the first mixture of salt and water a homogeneous or heterogeneous mixture? Very good. It's a homogeneous mixture since it's made up of one phase. But why salt and water form a homogeneous mixture? Very good, since salt dissolves in water. What is the nature of a mixture of sugar and water? Very good. Sugar and water form a homogeneous mixture since this mixture is made up of one phase. But why do sugar and water form a homogeneous mixture? Excellent, since sugar also dissolves in water. So we can say that salt dissolves in water, sugar dissolves in water. But what do we call the substances which dissolve in liquid? Substances that dissolve in a liquid are called soluble substances. So salt and sugar are soluble substances in water. Now, is sand dissolved in water? No, since sand and water form a heterogeneous mixture made up of two phases, the sand phase and the water phase. What do we call the substances that doesn't dissolve in a liquid? Very good. Substances that do not dissolve in a liquid are called insoluble substances. Then sand is insoluble substance in water. But can we dissolve any amount of salt in water? Let's do an experiment to answer this question. Materials needed are stirrer, spatula, salt, and water. Place 100 ml of water in a beaker. Add the first spoon of salt to the water using spatula and stir using stirrer. Observe if the salt dissolves or not. Yes, the first spoon of salt dissolves in 100 ml. Add now the second spoon of salt and stir. The second spoon of salt also dissolves in 100 ml of water. Add now the third spoon of salt and stir the mixture using the stirrer. The third spoon of salt also dissolved in water. Now add the fourth spoon of salt to the water in the beaker and stir very well using the stirrer. The fourth spoon also dissolved. Add the fifth spoon of salt, stir the mixture gently and observe the salt also dissolved. Add now the sixth spoon. Stir very well using the stirrer. Observe if it is dissolved or not. The sixth spoon of salt dissolved in water. Now add the seventh spoon. Stir the mixture very well. Observe what occurred. The salt dissolves in water. So till now 7 spoons of salt are dissolved in 100 milliliter of water. Add the 8th spoon of water. Stir the mixture. Observe if the salt is dissolved. The salt does not dissolve in water. Excess solid of salt precipitate at the bottom. Add now the 9th spoon and stir. The salt does not dissolve in water. Now let's record our observation in this table. This table is made up of 2 rows. In the first row, we have the number of spoons of salt added to water. In the second row, we have to record our observation. We have to mention if the salt is dissolved in water or if the spoon of salt is not dissolved in water. If the salt is dissolved, we are going to add this true mark. If it is not dissolved, we are going to add this cross mark. Now, is the first spoon of salt dissolved in water? Yes. So we are going to add the true mark. Is the second spoon dissolved? Yes, very good. Is the third spoon dissolved? Yes, it is dissolved. Is the fourth spoon dissolved? Yes, it is also dissolved. Is the fifth and sixth spoons of salt dissolved in water? Yes, very good. They are dissolved. Is the 7th spoon of salt dissolved in water? Excellent. The 7th spoon of salt is also dissolved in water. Now, is the 8th spoon of salt dissolved in water? No, it is not dissolved. So we are going to add the cross mark. Is the 9th spoon of salt dissolved in water? No, it's not dissolved. Is the 10th spoon dissolved? No, it's not dissolved. So, we can say that salt is dissolved in solutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So, in solutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, the salt is dissolved. Now, what is the maximum quantity of salt in spoons that dissolves in 100 milliliter of water? Observe the table to answer this question. Which is the maximum quantity of spoons dissolved in 100 milliliter of water? Very good. It is 7 spoons. Now, which solution of the table salt is saturated? Justify the answer. But to answer this question, we must know the meaning of a saturated solution. What is a saturated solution? A saturated solution is the solution where the solvent cannot dissolve any more extra amount of solute. So it cannot dissolve any more extra amount of solute. Now, to determine the saturated solution from these solutions, let's refer to the table. What is the maximum amount of salt dissolved in 100 milliliter of water? Very good. It is 7 spoons. So 7 spoons is the maximum amount of salt dissolved in 100 milliliter of water. Can water dissolve more than 7 spoons? No, since the 8th spoon is not dissolved in water. So we can say that the solution obtained after dissolving 7 spoons is the saturated solution, since it cannot dissolve any more extra amount of the solute, which is salt. So, solution obtained here after dissolving 7 spoons is the saturated, since it cannot dissolve the 8th spoon, so it cannot dissolve any more solute. Solution obtained after adding 7 spoons of salt is called saturated solution. But what do we call solutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? They are called unsaturated solutions. Solutions containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 spoons are unsaturated solutions. But what is unsaturated solution? Let's refer to the table to answer this question together. Observe these 6 solutions. Can they dissolve more amount of salt? Let's take an example. Solution 3 is unsaturated solution. The salt is dissolved in water. 3 spoons of salt are dissolved. We add the 4th spoon, it's also dissolved, so it can dissolve more solute. So we can say that unsaturated solution can dissolve more solute. Now, what is the maximum amount of salt dissolved in water? Very good, it is 7 spoons. Unsaturated solutions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 dissolve less than 7 spoons of salt or more than this quantity? Very good. They dissolve less than this quantity. So we can say that unsaturated solutions contain less than the maximum amount of the dissolved solute, can dissolve more solute. So unsaturated solution is a solution that contains less than the maximum amount of the dissolved solute and can dissolve more solute. So in 100 milliliter, we add spoons of salt at room temperature. Then we find that the maximum amount of salt dissolved in 100 milliliter of water is 7 spoons. This amount of salt dissolved in 100 milliliter of water is called solubility. But what do the term solubility mean? The solubility of a substance is the maximum amount of a substance or a solute that can be dissolved in a specific quantity of solvent at specific temperature. In this solution of salt and water, the solubility of salt in water is the maximum amount of salt which can be dissolved in water. The formula of solubility is solubility of symbol S equal mass of solute divided by the volume of solvent. The mass of solute can be in gram, the volume of solvent can be in liter. Now, let's represent the solubility of salt in 100 milliliter of water. Let's remember together. The solubility is the maximum amount of solute which can be dissolved in a specific volume of solvent at specific temperature. The formula of solubility is solubility equal S equal mass of solute divided by the volume of solvent. Let's now refer to our solution. In this solution, the solute is the salt and the solvent is the water. What is the maximum amount of salt which can be dissolved in 100 milliliter? Very good. It is 7 spoons. At which temperature are the 7 spoons dissolved? Very good. At the room temperature. So, the maximum amount of salt dissolved in 100 milliliter at room temperature is 7 spoons. So, what the 7 spoons represent? Very good. They represent solubility. Remember that the solution obtained is a saturated solution since it contains the maximum amount of solute. Let's now represent the solubility of salt in 100 milliliter of water. The mass of the solute, which is salt, is 7 spoons. The volume of solvent is 100 milliliter of water. Then the solubility is solubility equal 7 spoons of salt per 100 milliliter of water. Now, let's represent the solubility in the mass of salt in gram. To measure the mass of the salt, what should we use? Very good. We should use a digital balance. To indicate the mass of salt in each spoon, we must first measure the mass of the empty spoon. The digital balance gives that the mass of the empty spoon is 60 grams. The mass of the spoon with salt is 65 grams. Let's say that M1 represents the mass of empty spoon and it is equal to 60 grams. M2 is equal to the mass of salt plus mass of spoon and it's equal to 65 grams. But what is the mass of salt? Very good. To find the mass of salt, we are going to subtract M2 minus M1. So mass of salt is equal to M2 minus M1. 65 minus 60, it's equal to 5 grams. So each spoon carries 5 grams of salt. But the maximum amount of spoons dissolved in 100 milliliters of water is 7 spoons. Each spoon carries 5 grams. So what is the mass of salt in 7 spoons of water? To find this, we are going to multiply the mass of salt by the number of spoons. So we find that 7 salt spoons corresponds to 35 grams of salt. Now let's represent the solubility in terms of the mass of salt in a gram. We said that solubility equal S equal mass of solute divided by the volume of solvent. The mass of the solute is 35 grams. The volume of solvent is 100 milliliter. Then the solubility equal 35 grams of salt per 100 milliliter of water. Consider these two solutions, solution A and solution B. Let's indicate which solution is the saturated solution and which solution is the unsaturated solution. Solution A is a salty water solution, which means that it is a solution of salt and water. In this solution, we are going to add 10 grams of salt at a temperature of 30 degrees Celsius. In solution B, which is also a salty water solution, we are going also to add 10 grams of salt at temperature 30 degrees Celsius. In solution A, the 10 grams of salt are easily dissolved. Why? In solution B, the 10 grams of salt does not dissolve, which means that water has no ability to dissolve this extra amount of salt. So, no ability to dissolve more solute. So, which solution is saturated and which one is unsaturated? Let's remember together. The saturated solution is the solution which cannot dissolve any more solute, while the unsaturated solution is the solution which can dissolve any more solute. So, solution A is the unsaturated solution, while solution B is the saturated solution. But how can we remove this extra amount of salt to get a saturated solution? A saturated solution cannot dissolve additional quantity of solute. This additional quantity settles at the bottom of the beaker. How can we remove it? Very good. This can be done by filtration. After filtration, the solution obtained is a saturated solution. So, the saturated solution is obtained after the elimination of the extra salt by filtration. So, the solution, according to the amount of the solute that can be dissolved in a solvent, can be classified into saturated and unsaturated solution. The saturated solution is a solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved by a given amount of solvent at a given temperature. In a saturated solution, the quantity of solute is equal to solubility. Unsaturated solution is a solution that contains an amount of solute less than its solubility at the same temperature. In unsaturated solution, the quantity of solute added is less than solubility. So, if the quantity of solute is equal to solubility, then the solution is a saturated solution. But if the quantity of solute is less than solubility, then the solution is unsaturated solution. Never forget that the solubility of a substance is the maximum quantity of the substance that can be dissolved in a definite quantity of solvent at a specific temperature.